Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Shuffle Bus. I'm here with my good friend and co-host, Mr. Neil. Hi, Neil. How are you tonight?
Good.
Good.
On the bus.
On the bus. Back on the bus. We are busy bus riders and drivers these days. Um, so as you know, we're mid-swing on the Shuffle Bus tournament. This is my round 3 matchup. I am playing, I don't even remember now because the editing's so late. Vitrius. Sorry, I had to fast forward here a little bit. And we are back with my Odette Hounds deck, which I remember to make sure I have all 6 dice so I don't make the round 2 mistake I had. Vitrius is on an Aradel list here. And I don't remember all that's in his deck as I'm sitting here tonight. Obviously, there's been a lot of stuff that has transpired. I should take a quick look. But basically, his first 5 looks like Frostback Bear, Mist Spirit, Blue Jaguar, Join the Hunt, and the Battle Seer. But he also has a singular Figures in the Fog, which is an interesting card. A singular
He has
Hunt
a Figures in
Master.
the Fog. He has a Root Armor that's
Yep.
a possible first 5. He has an Ice Trap possible first 5.
Hunt Master, Beast Mage, and then a Sleeping Bear. I don't know what matchups call for all of those first 5 choices. He is kind of on the Massive Growth Bear plan, but I feel like I'm really capable of fighting Massive Growth Bears pretty easily with my fadeaways and Sword of Virtues. I'm going to take a little bit of damage, but I'm okay with that. The Join the Hunt is interesting because it gives all of his units essentially group tactics. You know, as a side action, he can make any one of his units have group tactics, which just tells me he's going to try to flood the field. Fortunately, I think Shadowhound's really well positioned to fight decks that are trying to flood the field.
Yeah, most of his guys have more than 1 life, which makes the Hound a little worse. But
right,
he has Raptor Herders. It's good against that.
It's for sure, like Blue Jaguar. When I looked at this list and I saw the Mist Spirits, like I thought, okay, well I can trade Shadowhounds into Mist Spirit summons. The Blue Jaguar as a one of, because he doesn't have multiple books, I wasn't worried about like getting extra books through, and he didn't run any of the like gates thrown open shenanigans that you could run in a deck like this as well. And so I felt like Odette was really just looking at sniping Blue Jaguars, taking a point of damage, but to snipe the Jaguar off the field. Because of the fact that I'm running Shadowhound, things like Molten Gold are less good against me. Mist Typhoon is really good against me, but that's why I play the Particle Shields. You know, 2 Shadows is only going to work after I've committed the Hound, so he's just going to be 2 shadowing other things on my field, and I felt like I was in a pretty good place to fight through most of what he was representing. The Beast Warriors are interesting because they become 3/3s, I think, on his turn. I don't even remember the interaction with it. It's like when you don't have the first player token or when you have the first player token. I don't remember which version of the unit it is. He's also got the Beast Mage, which is the opposite version of that. But yeah, I think there's just a lot of ways for my deck to interact and do things. So I actually stick with what I call my standard first 5 for this deck. And so the standard first 5 for this deck is Summon Salamander Monk, Summon Shadowhound, Resonance, Sword of Virtue, and Augury. Sometimes I will flex that sword slot for 2 shadows. If I know what my opponent's playing, it frees up the ability for me to use an illusion die as a turn down if I need it, particularly when I'm worried about like a Golden Veil. If I see Golden Veils, I'll sometimes flip over to this 2 shadows plan, let my opponent get some value out of it, and then I can turn the Golden Veil on. It also allows me to, if I suspect Golden Veil, to roll the Golden Veil away and use Odette's ability as a snipe if I need it. So that it has been a pivot that I didn't do early on in the game or in my learning of this deck. And as I've played the deck more and seen more and more interactions, I have used it a few times to some success. So, all right, so let's go ahead and get this puppy started. The Vitrius deck has 5 natural dice, 3 sympathy, and 2 illusion. Obviously, I'm on a 4 sympathy, 6 illusion, commit, 2 color deck. Let's go ahead and get going here. So, he's got his first 4. I think he's grabbing his last card. I think he's got a flex slot here. So that pretty much tells me like I know for a fact that it's going to be Mist Spirit, Blue Jaguar, Join the Hunt, Frostback Bear. Like I'm just convinced that those are, because those are already spells. So
Right. And the books are almost for sure. That fifth card, uh, you know, who knows what it is.
right.
Uh,
I think that my deck is really well positioned, particularly in the open, to fight Aradel's Water Blast ability. Like I like the Water Blast is basically a non-bow until I commit the Hound to do something, and then it's a question of, do you use Aradel's ability or do you just use Frog Ping? And the Frog Ping is, it just depends on what you have up, right? So he goes ahead and rolls here, gets, I think it's 4 basics. And I roll 4 basics, so we end up in a reroll situation here. Actually, I don't mind, like when my opening hand is Sword of Virtue, the number of basics really doesn't matter to me too much, but I get a better roll here with 2 basics. And then I just have Shadowhound turned on and Illusion Roll Down, but I'm not going to be using Illusion Roll Down in this first 5. I don't have the dice efficiency for it.
right.
Okay. So I think he ends up choosing. I think he chooses to go first if I remember right, but I could be wrong on that. Because he rolls 4 basics here. All in all, like his roll was pretty solid. He's got Bear Book online right away. Like he can pay for the Bear Book without meditation, which is always nice. He lets me go first, so I just go ahead and make my Augury. I switch it out to the basic Sympathy. It's interesting because you can run into scenarios, especially when you start talking about different card plays, where you have to make sure you spend the right dice in this deck in your first 5 because of the resonances and how it recurs dice. You just have to make sure that you're set up to spend the dice you need to spend correctly as the round goes on. And I have made that mistake, not in competitive play, but just in test matchups where I spent the wrong dice and then it kind of blows up the quasi first 6 of this deck because of the Augury to Resonance play.
Right.
So,
Resonances are a very strange card.
So he just plays Frostback Bear and Join the Hunt. Not a surprise.
Obviously, we picked those correctly.
So I go ahead and play the Resonated Shadowhound. I get back 2 Sympathy dice. This allows me to play the next Resonance. I spend 1 more illusion in that process when we do this. When I spend the last Resonance, it allows me to bring back 1 illusion and 1 Sympathy die, which allows the Salamander Monk to get played. So it sort of sets up the Salamander Monk play while I don't have to commit that extra dice in my opening dice pool. Okay, so one thing he could do here is put a significant amount of pressure on me by playing Bear. So he meditates away a Beast Warrior and a Raptor Herder to roll up both an illusion and a natural. So this is 3 dice. I think this is the Huntmaster.
Okay.
I like the Huntmaster. This is a really good unit because I suspect that the follow-up unit to this in his hand is going to be a Raptor Herder. But I don't remember if he ends up on the Mist Spirit or not. Like, it's possible that...
I like Huntmaster a lot. I just think it's a very good card.
Yeah. So, because of the group tactics, I just have to keep his unit count down. And so that puts me in a position where I think I have to either Odette here, because I think group tactics requires 3 attackers to make this work. And so he's not ready to attack me yet, so I can Odette the Huntmaster. I take a couple points of damage to do it, but then it opens up the Shadowhound to ping Huntmaster and Panther Spirit away. But I go ahead and stay on plan of getting rid of, playing 1 more Resonance. That turns the Hounds on, which is what we want. So I get back my Salamander monk die. And it doesn't really make that much difference now. But ultimately, depending on what he plays, bringing back the extra sympathy just means that I could forego the Sword of Virtue this round if I wanted to, and draw an extra card. But I'm gonna just sword the Huntmaster. So
I think that's fine. You're pretty sure at this juncture that like that's his big play this turn,
right?
And if he makes another big play, it's going to be multiple units or whatever, so the sword's not going to get it anyway.
And what it does is opens up the bear, but he loses the status tokens to charge the bear up for power. So I can live with the bear because I can trade. I can trade the Hound and the bear.
Play massive growth in round 1 because of the chain. So
right,
like the Huntmaster is a better unit than the bear.
Yep. And this allows me to use the Shadow Hound as essentially, so this is where I'm going to go ahead and play Shadow Hound. And so what I can do here is, it gives me a couple of different play outs. First is I ping this spirit away, the Panther spirit away. I do one to the bear. And if he doesn't attack with the bear here, then I can actually use Odette just to take the 2 damage from the bear, but kill the bear in exchange. And there's the Jaguar.
Did you consider at all waiting on the Hound?
I did. Because if that last card is a Mist Spirit, it could be potentially problematic. But because I'm going to make a Salamander Monk, and a Salamander Monk kind of fights Mist Spirit, and it is a Mist Spirit.
Right. It just, it seems like you had the option to use the pings on other things, mm-hmm. and then just use the Hound attack on the bear.
Mm-hmm.
As one line, but this is probably fine. Like if you Odette the bear, having the Shadow Hound back is okay. It's unfortunate for you that most of the other guys he can play trade really good with Shadow Hound.
Everybody trades good with Shadow Hound.
Well, right, but if you feel okay trading it for a bear or a Huntmaster or something like that, but like if he just makes 2 Mist Spirits, then your Hound is sad.
And he does make 2 Mist Spirits here. The good news about it is that I can actually now choose to go ahead and make the committed play of like Odetting a Mist Spirit and taking 1. And then I can force the Aradel, or I can just and that's what I do. I Odette a Mist Spirit. He can no longer play. He's left the Water Blast up, which Water Blasting the Salamander Monk is fine, but it's not like a super great play for him. It's fine here because I haven't gotten value from the Salamander Monk yet, but I'm going to attack with the Salamander Monk on this next turn. And he attacks with bear.
Is there a reason you chose to hit the thing instead of the bear? I guess if you're going to block, then
yeah, this was what I was trying to decide if I was just going to take the 2. I think now what I'm going to do is not... I'm going to take the 2 from the bear and use the Shadow Hound to just stalk it and kill it without losing the Hound.
You're going to lose the Hound to Water Blast if you do that, right?
If he uses it that way, for sure, which would be the best use for Water Blast. But I just go ahead and block it. So, I feel pretty good about this because I can essentially clear.
Yeah, you saved yourself more damage that way. I think that you could have been a little more aggressive if you just Odetted the.
So he Water Blasts the Monk,
bear.
which is to be expected. So I feel like if I come out of this round, where his units are dead and my units are alive, even if I stick just a Monk Spirit, which is what I'm going to do here, he's gonna let the Spirit go instead of taking it. I think the best defense for him there would have been just let Aradel tank it, so he kept a Mist Spirit on board.
Yeah, I probably would have blocked with the Aradel too.
Yeah, I think that would have been a better use of the Aradel block there, just to take 1. But I mean, I'm fine with he let the Mist Spirit go.
I think that the only thing that I would have done differently is I would have waited longer on the Hound. And just let the bear hit me or something, so that I could hit his 1 toughness guys with the book ability.
So we're really well positioned with this, with Skald, Anchornaut, Particle Shield. So if we do get a Nature's Wrath here, like where the Hound is going to be protected well with the particle shields.
Right. He has Mist Typhoon, not Nature's Wrath, but it's essentially the same.
Yeah. So I think I'm happy with where my board position sits, because if he decides to just make Mist Spirits, like I can just use these Salamander Monks for advantage now, because I now control an advantage. So he plays Raptor Herder. And this is where I actually think in this particular sequence, I choose to Odette the Hatchling. And the reason why is because of the group tactics function. And just knowing that that's what he's trying to do is build a group tactics. And actually, I may just Anchornaut the Herder. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
It just seems fine. In general, your deck, like, all you want to do is wait as long as possible to make the Shadow Hound. Which obviously the Anchornaut play allows for that.
So I'm going to meditate some dice here because I've got lots of dice requirements. And I realize this is a pretty significant mistake here. The reason why it's a mistake is because I lost the Sword of Virtue in that meditate, and I had an Augury sitting there. I kicked myself after I did it because I didn't need to meditate here yet, right? Like, I still just had Skald on board.
Right. It would have been 5% better to Augury before meditating. Correct. 3.
Yeah, it was just it was a mistake on my part because so really the simple solution for me here now is, like, because he played 2 Mist Spirits trying to turn group tactics on with Join the Hunt and the Raptor, like, I'm just going to Odette the Raptor, right? And that turns off the Join the Hunt. No, yeah. I don't think it's right to play the Hound here either, but I do play the Hound here. It's fine. It's fine value.
It's going to do something like that every round. You just put it in play earlier so it's more vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
And you can get a little bit behind on dice and actions. But yeah, I mean, honestly, like, I don't think you were forced to do anything to that board.
Yeah.
Even if he attacked his group tactics, you just, like, jump with your Anchornaut.
Right.
And he spent a bunch of resources to do it.
This did bait out the Mist Typhoon, which allows me to draw a card. I do get the other sword, so I don't have to Augury for a sword now. But again, best.
You just have an additional sword in your deck.
Yeah.
Possibly. We don't know what the meditate would have been later in the game, but
right. Exactly.
If you had Auguried first, it would have been a lower chance that you would hit sword with meditating.
Correct. So I just play another monk.
Yeah.
He's going to play a blue Jaguar here. Play Frostback Bear, sorry.
Yeah, one of his many animals.
Yeah. And I think at this point... Okay, so he's going...
He meditates to a nature power.
Yeah. I mean, he could definitely play the blue Jaguar. And the Join the Hunt is cheeky with all of this, but I'm just going to drop a River Skald. Draw a card.
Right,
I debate this because I'm like, well, I wonder how many times he's actually going to get, the Mist Typhoons off. But
I think I probably would not have discarded that.
Most likely, the better card to discard here is the 2 Shadows. But
right. I don't know. At this juncture, it seems like it's probably okay.
So he pings the Skald. Oh, with the Aradel ability, yep. So he
Water Blast the Skald. You could have particle shielded it.
Could have.
He attacks with Bear. Okay, so this time you decided to take it instead of blocking.
Yeah.
But it makes more sense because he's already Water Blasted this round.
Right.
So,
I just use that. I just attack him outright here, and I'm just going to 2 Shadows the Bear. That way I can deal damage to the Aradel and get the Bear off the field. I have the Resonance Meditate here. So this is a Beast Tamer.
I've
or Beast
Tamer
Warrior.
and Beast Mage Yeah, sorry. Beast Warrior and Beast Mage are kind of,
So he's a
I don't
1/1
know.
right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they suffer from not being reprinted.
So I think I just choose to Odette here. With one sympathy die still showing, I don't know what to expect yet. I'm gonna side action Augury. I don't know why I'm looking at my conjuration deck. But and just get a Skald now because I have the last sword out of the deck, so have another Skald in hand for next round. And then Odette
the
yeah.
the Beast Warrior, and that's all fine. Like just a very powerful turn of doing Odette type things.
So he just draws a card with that last sympathy dice. Because I couldn't think of what would be a single sympathy cost card that he could hit me with that's not a ready spell. I meditate for essentially 0 here. Play Shadowhound Book. And then send it back to him. And then I get to go first here. Now that I have 2 Hounds on board, I don't.
You just never need to play cards from hand again. You just
just make Hounds. Yeah, I mean that's basically what this deck kind of does. But there are still really great cards to play from hand. So I can kind of commit to just swing for 4 here if I want to.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it in one of your other matches where you kind of got stuck with the Hounds in play. Definitely need to like get this one traded off if you want to activate both books.
Yeah, that's for sure. So I'm not going to make the Augury mistake again. I use it right away this round, and I think I grab a particle shield.
Right, I think that's correct because he has Mist Typhoons.
Yep. And then I do just send the team for 4. So I actually have. I mean, I can use my River Skalds myself to clear my own Hound.
I think I might have waited just to try to trade the Hound for something.
I think he's going to want to kill it. Is what I. At the end of the day, I think he doesn't want to leave it around, and he's got so many different ways to efficiently kill it. So, and you can see him looking at it, and I think he does.
He makes a bear.
Makes a bear, like. Yeah. But I'm fine with that. I'm holding a sword here for the bear. Because I think I look at the deck and realize that the Huntmaster is a 1/of, and he has no way to get it back. So I don't have to worry about that. The only other card in his deck that kind of gives me fits is Battleseer. But I mean, my Hound can fight a Battleseer, right? Just on defense.
Yeah, I just you would have had the free attack of Hound into bear that turn, though he might not make a bear if you left Hound up. I don't know.
Get 2 shadows the Hound.
So it worked out okay for you.
So since I committed 2 dice and one of those dice being illusion, I'm not on double Hound play this round, and that's probably a mistake. I should have held the dice and threatened double Hounds. But it does free up my board, free up my my overall card slots. So I'm just going to hollow down those 2 nature power dice. If he wants to water blast the hollow did exactly what it's supposed to do, and it baits out a water blast.
What did you spend your first illusion dice on?
Sword, and that's the mistake I was talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, I should have spent a sympathy die on it.
Right, because as soon as you did that, you were off the double Hound.
Yep, exactly. So he plays Blue Jaguar with Root Armor. This is a little bit trickier.
Yeah, it's if you're scared of a 1/3.
Right. Well, what makes it tricky is that it can make one of my units not block, but I think right now I can control the rest of his board where the 1/3 Jaguar with Root Armor.
You being ahead on life and ahead on board because he's used most of his books, like you probably are okay just not blocking at all and racing. So
yeah. And the fact that he's making a couple of Mist Spirits into an unexhausted Hound just is like it's ripe targets for the Hound now.
Oh yeah, the Mist Spirit book obviously is like a big mismatch against Focused Hound book.
Mm-hmm.
Like he spends 2 dice, you spend 3 dice, but he gets nothing and you get a 3/1.
Right. Just going to do a little meditate here. These are 2 shadows. I'm just going to play Skald into the board, I think.
Yeah, it seems fine. At this juncture, you're a long ways ahead, so you're probably...
So I'm going to do 1 to the Jaguar because there's no recovery on it. So it means I got to do 3 damage to it still, but the interesting thing is that the Hound can then fight the Jaguar. I think he's going to try to group tactics me here. Like, that's what my thought process is, and that's what he's going to do. And so he's going to...
You didn't want to just make a 3/1 and kill his 2 guys?
I thought about it, but I was thinking about how to eliminate the Jaguar just in general.
I think that worrying about the Jaguar at this juncture of the game is not something that matters. Like, if you had just made a 3/1 there and killed his Misspirits, that you could ignore the Jaguar for the remainder of the game.
Yeah, I just didn't know what the last 2 nature dice could be. They could be another Raptor Herder, was what I was thinking.
Yeah, but again, like how is that going to beat you?
I don't know. I mean, it's about controlling the board, and so when you look at the board in a given circumstance, I'm like, he can only make one of my units not block, and both of my units trade into whatever thing he gives the big power to. And I think the correct play was to put big power on the Jaguar instead of on the Misspirit. Because
he wouldn't even have that option if you had just hounded him.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think that it's going to matter in the long run because you're so far ahead on board. But like you definitely could have raced him here. Like, you didn't need to make that attack. You didn't need to scald it for 2.
I'm just playing really conservative.
Yeah, very, very conservative.
So, yep, he's going to Molten Gold in my face.
Especially doesn't matter.
Yep. So this is the pattern where I can kill the Jaguar through the Ancestor Spirit. Still make a Hound.
What's his life total?
8.
So yeah, if you had just gone like assuming that he made the similar plays, you could have just gone Hound, and killed him this turn.
Yeah.
In fact, there's a lot of different plays he could have made, and that still would have killed him.
Sure. So we're just going to put the hollow on the bottom, I think. I might actually put the Skald on the bottom. Yeah.
I would have put...
Because I can play the hollow.
I guess knowing that you're going to the next round, maybe keeping the shield is okay, but Particle Shield is kind of looking bad here. Just, he has no dice left, and...
Yeah. So... The interesting thing is I actually have the ability just to go straight to face now, I think. So I make a hollow. You're right. I could have just won this game on the back of what we had here.
Do you ping your own monk to get in lethal?
That's an interesting... I don't know if I saw it. Maybe I did. I don't remember now. That's a good point. I could have. Nope, I didn't.
You had like 7 ways to win this game that you chose not to do.
2, 4, 5. Yeah, I wouldn't have been
the Panther.
I just wanted to clear the Panther because I'm gonna go. He's gonna go first next round, but I just have
the Panther's definitely more threatening than him having more than 0 life.
Yeah. I could have done 6. I could have done 6.
Right. He is so dead because even like, well, you had Ancestor Spirit Hollow and thing for 7. If you had shot your own monk, you would have had an additional monk for 8. But even if he makes 2 blockers, which his deck can do in a lot of ways, he's still lethaled by you here.
Right.
So it doesn't... I guess if he draws exactly Mist Typhoon, does he survive? What's his life?
3.
Oh, so then he doesn't because you have the Particle Shield.
Yep.
Does he have a side action unit?
Not in those colors.
I think so.
Only side. Well, he could have a Shadow Guard, but I don't think... I looked at the deck list. I don't think there's a Shadow Guard in the list. But playing the double illusion, that would be a potential roadblock. if he had it, but he didn't have it. So there's the Mist Typhoon.
Yep. And
we just particle shield the Hound and say GG. Actually,
sorry, I didn't.
Yeah. In fact, he only actually clears 2 units off my board in that.
Oh yeah, he would have died even without the particle shield because of the Skald and the Monk.
Yeah. Yep, so we just attack for 6 here and finish the game. So he's got the massive growth online this time.
It's the decks that have the massive growth, it's very difficult for them when you have lots of removal. Like once the massive growth is on him, then your Odette and your Skald look kind of bad, but you still have the 2 shadows and swords.
And I can still just stand in front of it with a Shadow Hound, right? Like I can just not take the damage and let Shadow Hound defend it.
Right.
So like
because unless it's a gigantic unit somehow,
right?
Not big, actually has the ability gigantic.
Right.
The Hound can block it.
Correct. So then you just kind of are able to say, well, okay, fine, I'm not going to take the 6. I'm just going to defend for 3 because when the fleeting falls off on the massive growth, the bear's dead. So
right, it's very rare that the massive growth saves the unit from dying.
The only way I would have played that differently would be if I knew for sure he had like a refresh type ability where he could unexhaust the bear to get another attack in, like a transfer or refresh or something of that nature. Then I would definitely just let the bear hit me for 6 and then 2 shadows it, assuming that it's not lethal. But if it was lethal, I would just put the Hound in front of it and still 2 shadows it to avoid the refresh death, and then just summon a new Hound. So, but I just had multiple outs.
I just think that you should have most of the game, the decisions you made may have been different than mine, but it was fine. The biggest thing I think was you should have just ignored that Panther Spirit in the previous round. Like just said forget it. I don't care.
The Blue Jaguar
3.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, the Blue Jaguar.
Yeah. I think that's probably true. It wouldn't matter in the end of the day. And
as it turned out, it had no effect on the game. It just you spent a ton of resources into that 1/3 that like essentially did no damage to you.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day you're correct. The correct outcome would have been for me to Shadowhound the 2 Mist Spirits. The 1/3 does nothing to me, and then if I attack into it, like he just like the one thing it would do is defend my Hound really well. It could just sit there as a defender on his board, and I have no way to get it off the board. But I guess the easiest thing for me to do then is to Odette it for a point of damage. That way, if he does defend the Hound, and I trade Hound into Blue Jaguar with a root armor, that I'm able to still kill the Jaguar at that point. Because it does become a pretty big wall if I take out away all of his other options.
You're just also really wide at that point of the game. So
sure.
Even if it does block your 3/1 and you get in for 3 or 4 damage, like it could do that every round for the remainder of the game, and you'd still be okay with it.
Sure.
Because he's not going to stick a different unit.
No. But he can make another
Hound book activation.
But he can make another one on the next round, and 2 of them are a little bit more problematic.
How? Why? They just do 2 to you.
Well, because he's using them with combination of group tactics, so it's more than 2. It prevents me from being able to block.
I understand that, but like I said, on the previous round, if you had just waited on the Hound and killed his 2 Mist Spirits, he would not be able to activate the group tactics anyway, and it's just a 1/3. Like he has to have it plus 2 other guys that don't die to Hound book activation twice.
Yeah.
Like, and that's just never going to be a game state that exists. So I think you can just ignore it. And even if you attack into it and it like blocks a Monk or blocks your Shadowhound or whatever, you're still just racing him to death. Like, if he's blocking with it, he's not attacking with it.
For sure. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you. I think
that's the only thing. That's the only thing that seemed like bad to me. Like I said, the other decisions you made seemed good, and they were different lines than I would have taken, but are perfectly fine. And you won in the end, so congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm glad that the Hounds deck was able to pull off another victory. It's been kind of a rough tournament with the deck in general. I felt really confident going in about how Hounds fought into many of the things in the meta, knights and things of that nature. And
most of the top 8 decks are like kind of cheesy, right? They're like big attack decks.
yeah, but I didn't get to fight any of those, and this was the first deck that sort of had a big attack plan. And I mean, like the James deck I fought was not that, right? The James deck I fought was
and
like
the Leo burn deck was not like that.
no, not at all. And then the Cole deck is just like, I just don't think you can beat Cole with a bunch of 1 health units. Like it's just not going to work out in your favor. I think you can get it really close, and I think
the game you played was interesting against that Cole deck. It just
and I think
you start off at a disadvantage.
I think if I just play Salamander Monk into that, I at least save a number of slash damages that maybe I get there. But
that definitely was. You should have started Salamander Monk.
Yeah. So I think that's just like one of those things where as you work through matchups and learn more about the deck, again, talking about this deck, we've talked about it throughout all the coverage. I still think this is a real deck. I just think it needs a few tweaks to be playable, and it needs more like 2/2s essentially, right? Like that's what it essentially needs. It needs 1/2s and 2/2s, things like that to fight some of those like sweeps, like the Mist Typhoons, to kind of reduce the potency.
There unfortunately are not a lot of those in those colors.
There's not. And
you have the best one, River Skald, but
it ultimately, I think, leads me to go down the path of like going down to a third color and playing like a 6/2/2 setup. But it's, you're going to have to cut something like the Ancestor Spirit, which I think is fine. The Ancestor Spirit's a fine guy, but at least the Ancestor Spirit's one of those things where you get some incremental value out of just playing it.
That book is like very cuttable.
Yeah. The Guilt Link is cuttable for sure. The deck is heavy on needing meditation a lot, and so the Magic Siphon idea is I'm really warming up to the Magic Siphon idea. After I've gotten value out of the Augury, my last pick is usually Particle Shield, and it's potentially possible in some matchups Particle Shield is just a dead card, and so it's possible that Magic Siphon...
you have Anchornaut to get, right? And
yeah, I have Anchornaut, Particle Shield, Hollow, and 2 Shadows are all fetchable by that last Augury.
Right.
Most of the deck is really cheap, right? Like just in general.
It has to be, right? If you're planning on spending 3 to 6 dice every turn on making a 3/1.
Correct. Right. And it just needs to make sure the issue that the deck ultimately has as a kind of an issue, if you want to consider it that, is that all of the removal is in the same color as Hound. So you're like, if you choose to play removal, you're sort of giving up on second Hound, right? So that's why the second Hound is so important late game, because at that point your removal is likely spent, and so then the second Hound is your removal. First and second Hound are turning into your removal spells. So it's just kind of one of those things you have to work through. Plus, you have Odette on board for smaller stuff removal, but that also runs out late game as your life becomes an issue. So, anyways, I'm like I said, I think the deck is solid. I think it's a contender. It is possible that this deck is better with Jericho, just simply because you don't have to spend as many dice to get second Hound book online. Like you save yourself.
I think you lose a lot of power in not being able to enter the fray and play Sword.
I agree. I agree that Jericho's ability is good for bringing Hound book online, but it's not great for the control elements that come throughout the whole game, like Odette has, and then losing Sword of Virtue. Like Sword of Virtue in some matchups, like you were talking about in clogged boards and stuff, allows you to just untap Hound, and that's a nice pivot tool that you're not going to use it all the time that way, but some matchups that's the best way to use it. And so, yeah, I mean, it just is what it is. So, all right. Well, again, I appreciate everybody that spent some time with us on this video tonight. This will conclude our round 3 coverage from our side. Be sure to check out the Reddit mega thread. Anybody else that's posted coverage, I've been trying to find all of it and put it into that so you can see a variety of games from the tournament. If you enjoy our content, the best way to tell us that is to give us a thumbs up. Let us know in the comments below if there's something you see you wanted to see done differently with regards to how the decks are played, how we present this tournament stuff. Deck lists are obviously always in the comments. When I have deck lists available, that's where they will end up. The biggest thank you to us and the biggest thing that means the most to us is if you choose to subscribe. That tells us that you love our content and that we're doing the right things to help you grow as an Ashes player. But yeah, we're going to be back with some round 4 coverage. The next video you're going to see from us is the bus brawl. So Neil and I square off in round 4. And we'll share that outcome if you weren't on our live stream to watch it happen live. So, yeah. Neil, anything else you want to add before we close out the night?
No, just the normal stuff. Thanks to everyone that watches. Thanks to everyone that consumes our content.
Yep. Just remember real quick before we close out, tournament signups are now up and available for the Season 2 tournament, which will be starting April 1st. So be sure to head over to the Ashes Discord, community Discord, check out the Shuffle Bus tournament channel, check the pinned messages. You'll see the Season 2 sign up. And we hope to see you all participating with us in the next tournament. So, all right, everybody, thank you so much. Have a great evening.